All right, y'all, we're back, and today we're gonna be doing a reaction to the PlayStation 5 Pro that is dropping as recording of this video, I believe today, November 7th or 8th, or whenever your mail carrier gets your console to you. This is gonna be interesting because the day is here. It's finally here, and we're finally going to see if it's gonna live up to the hype that's been going on for the past few months, though, man. Let's see what it does, though, man. But before we get started with the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comments on the video. Help me get to 10K, man. 10K subs, road to 10K subs, man. You know what it is. Let's get to it. Shout out to IGN for the review. We're gonna be reacting to IGN's video.
The PlayStation 5 Pro seems like it should be more exciting than it actually is. It's without question the most powerful console you can buy right now. And the enhanced games I've been able to play ahead of launch do look great and run much more smoothly than the standard PS5 can handle, thanks to some upgraded hardware and impressive upscaling tech. But it's also completely unsurprising that the faster PS5 is, well, faster, and it's also more expensive. Considering that the original PS5 can still provide enough power to run games competently in 2024, spending $700 means you have to really want the best of the best from your games to make the Pro a worthy investment.
Before we get started, this is a non-biased reaction. I'm just reacting to the video that's at hand right now. Shout out to IGN once again.
Accounting for its price, you'll be disappointed to find that the PS5 Pro does not come with every possible bell and whistle.
We knew that already.
It does pack in a standard DualSense, but there's no vertical stand included. And if you're the type who has a library of physical games, be ready to shell out an extra $80 for a Blu-ray disc drive to install yourself. If you feel like Sony is trying to nickel and dime you on top of the $700 price tag, I'm not going to argue against you. Physically, it's a pretty sleek console relative to the enormous launch PS5, and it largely takes after the design principles of the slim model. The only major difference is that it's taller when standing vertical, which is accounted for by the fins in the middle that create a cross-section on the console. It helps make room for the more robust internal components, but doesn't add much bulk to the existing design. It's also not noticeably louder than the original PS5, so you don't need to worry about it sounding like a jet engine when your games get intense. As far as thermals go,
do we really care about that, though? If it's loud or whatnot? Because I don't think the PlayStation 5, Slim that I have is even loud or whatnot. So like when I'm playing it, I don't hear it. Especially if you got on headphones or whatever, you're streaming or, you're playing something like Call of Duty and you want to hear what's going on, you're not listening to the sound of the PlayStation 5. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if y'all have a PlayStation 5 that's loud. And do you think that this would solve that problem? If it's not really a problem, also let me know.
PS5 Pro runs roughly the same temperature as the base PS5 under load, hovering around 35 to 40 degrees Celsius from the rear exhaust based on our thermal imaging tests.
Technical details.
It's a bit striking how little has changed from the original PS5 on the spec sheet. The Pro comes with a 2TB NVMe SSD, which is twice as large but the same speed as the original super fast storage drive. That addresses one of the main complaints about the launch PS5, which is that 1TB goes very quickly when you're installing games that take upwards of 100 GB at a time. For context, an extra 1TB in the form of an aftermarket SSD would run you around $100 if you want the same storage for a base PS5, which sweetens the deal when looking at the price difference between the PS5 and PS5 Pro. The big upgrade though is in the GPU, rated at 16.7 teraflops, which is a sizable jump on paper from the 10.3 teraflops of the original PS5. Sony says the Pro packs 67% more compute units and onboard memory that's 28% faster, resulting in up to 45% better performance. Without context, those numbers don't really mean much, but the details in my testing prove that
So for basically an extra $200, you're getting something faster, obviously faster, runs at 60 frames per second, on performance mode, on, graphics mode, and comes with 2 TB. Extra $200 though, do y'all think it's worth it? Let me know in the comments if an extra $200 for the PlayStation Pro is worth it.
They amount to a lot more than empty marketing promises. The important feature that these upgraded specs support specifically is PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR.
PSSR.
Much like Nvidia's DLSS, this is Sony and AMD's AI-driven upscaling technology that uses machine learning to construct images that can appear with a quality close to full 4K resolution without having to stress the system's hardware to generate that detail through raw processing power. Granted, it won't be exactly the same as native 4K since it's scaling from a lower base resolution, but it doesn't have to since you're not going to be putting it side by side with the real thing, and the vast majority of people aren't going to be able to tell the difference in most cases, especially while they're enjoying the higher frame rates and visual effects this technique allows.
I don't know.
It's nice to see Sony is moving away from chasing raw computing power as the end-all be-all of console tech, and as upscaling continues to advance, so too will its implementation in games. As you'll see in our performance breakdown, PSSR is one of the major keys in creating parity between quality and performance options. It also opens the door for games to explore ray tracing techniques to a greater extent, although mileage will vary based on every game's PS5 Pro specific updates, where developers will choose to prioritize different aspects of their respective games. So the PS5 Pro is a bit more
Alright, so far, is the $700 justified for the PS5 Pro? As far as you're getting 2 terabytes, you're able, was it the PSSR, which makes it look, I guess it makes it look better and it runs and stuff. Is it justified though? Like you're getting 2 terabytes. It's going to run on not performance mode, but it's going to run on graphics modes at 60 frames per second. Is this worth the extra $200? I mean, great, you know, visually it looks real good. Like Spider-Man looks incredible on there from what I've seen though, but from the difference from what I'm seeing in my, PS5 Slim, I don't have a problem with my PS5 Slim, but I could see myself getting a PS5 Pro eventually. I just don't know when though, because the PS5 Slim is, it's fine for me right now. Do y'all really see a difference right now? I mean, if you do, let me know. I mean, I can see it. I can clearly see the difference with how smooth it runs though. But again, will we really see that if we don't have like a 8K TV? Well, I forgot what resolution it was. Was it
complex than simply having one uncompromised Pro enhanced mode?
Gaming performance, the most important thing.
The PS5 Pro's tech gives developers room to be experimental in pushing boundaries, especially with ray tracing because it packs enough power to hit higher frame rates without sacrificing as much graphical fidelity.
Okay.
There's still some level of compromise to be made though, so if you were hoping that the Pro would take out all the FOMO stress out of selecting between 60 FPS performance or 30 FPS fidelity modes, well, in some games now there are even more modes to choose from. Alternatively, if you love having that control over how your games run, that's great news. In my experience though, the visual gap between these modes is much smaller than it is on a base PS5, often making the Pro's performance-centric modes the clear choice. Let's start with a marquee PlayStation first-party game, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. On PS5 Pro, you get to choose between Fidelity Pro and Performance Pro modes. The latter offers visual quality that's...
I think performance mode is always going to be better to me. When you're playing a game for a long time, it's the inevitable that it's going to slow down eventually, or, you know, the system might heat up, and that's just like if you're handling your system, you know, not, I guess, differently than what you do other systems though, but performance mode is always going to be better because I feel like people, whenever they're, let's say you're doing gameplay videos, I don't know if people are looking for visually if it looks good. I feel like that's a small percentage of people that actually care about what the graphics are going to look like when they're watching it. I think they're watching it for the gameplay and to be entertained. Not to say that people don't care about graphics and the resolution. I think that the gameplay is going to be way more important than what people are going to be watching visually. Even though visually the PS5 Pro looks great.
Identical to the base PS5's Fidelity mode, with all the original ray tracing features intact while maintaining a smooth 60 FPS. Effectively, the best of both worlds when compared to the PS5's modes. However, with the Fidelity Pro option, Insomniac cranked the knobs even further, putting features like ray-traced ambient occlusion, key light shadows, and further improved reflections on the table. But all those upgrades come at the cost again of being chained down to 30 FPS. You can tweak some of these settings to squeeze out a few extra frames,
Nobody
but
likes
I wasn't
30
able to
frames
reach
per
anything
second.
near 60 FPS even when turning everything down a notch. Horizon Forbidden West showcases another interesting implementation of PS5 Pro enhancements. It has 3 options: favor graphics, balance, and favor performance. Again,
We
the
shall see.
performance-based mode is the way to go since it hits a stable 60 FPS while in some respects, looking even better than the base PS5's graphics priority mode. You get finer detail and foliage, better lighting, and a better resolution rendering technique. Especially for a game like Horizon, those extra frames make the gameplay experience so much better, and you can still enjoy the lush vistas with that added clarity. The PS5 Pro's graphics priority option, on the other hand, caps Horizon Forbidden West at 30 FPS, but pushes the boundaries with a higher base resolution. Yet, I don't find the trade-off worth it since it's tough to distinguish with the fantastic Pro Performance mode. The curious part is the balanced option, which goes for 40 FPS and strikes a middle ground with visual quality, but honestly, it's not worth the 30% cut in frame rate for marginal visual gains. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered takes a different angle as well. It oddly retains the same exact two options available from the base PS5, graphics or performance priority, but there's a new Pro option that uses PSSR to take 1440p resolution to output 4K while retaining other visual qualities of the PS5's graphics mode and still hitting a consistent 60 FPS.
What I'm noticing, the difference between graphics mode and performance mode is like graphics mode, I guess it's more sharper and smoother. Yeah, but it's like performance mode is ultimately going to run better. Like I just don't, for right now, they got to prove to me that graphics mode at 60 frames per second is going to run just like performance mode on the PS5 Slim and the regular. Y'all, they got to prove that to me. Because definitely, like I said, though, I could see myself buying the PS5 Pro. But right now, like I said, the Slim I find the Slim works perfectly fine. Like they need to have a feature on the Pro that makes it undeniably justifiable to spend the extra $200. Actually, what $300 actually for all the the hookups and stuff that you gotta buy for it. Like if you have extra if you have physical games or whatnot, you need to buy like a Blu-ray disc drive or whatever in order to even play them. You make the PS5 Pro fully backwards compatible to where you could play all the games, then I'm sold. I'm sold. Because I feel like that would change the game. Make the PS5 Pro 100% full backwards compatible where you can play from PS5 all the way back to PlayStation 1. And you got me sold. The extra $200-$300 is justifiable.
It was already a visually impressive remaster on PS5, but the boost in performance while having all of its graphical details sing is nice. Of all the games that have gotten PS5 Pro updates ahead of launch, Alan Wake 2 is certainly all in on ray tracing with its graphics mode, and it's absolutely stunning, with robust reflections and lighting giving its world a much more striking look, especially in the way that feeds into its atmosphere.
Looks
The
good.
Pro enhancements stretch the limits of what PSSR is capable of, however. In graphics mode, it uses a base resolution of 1224p and runs at 30 FPS to make room for all those sweet ray tracing techniques. You won't get those big ray traced features
I don't really
in
see the
performance mode,
difference.
but it will target 60 FPS with an image quality akin to the graphics mode on the base PS5. It has to use a fairly low base resolution of 864p to get there though. It's still a great looking game in this mode,
Looks
although
good.
it's definitely a blurrier image. Regardless, I find Alan Wake 2 shows a noticeable.
I don't see the difference in this. I don't know. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, okay, we're looking at the sign, the harbor sign. Obviously, the Pro is going to be more sharper. You can see it more. And the sign on the performance mode on the PS5 is a little blurry though. But is this really a make or break? PS5 Pro needs to have more features to make it justifiable, but I can notice it maybe because I'm looking for it or whatever. I can notice the differences though, but if you didn't really just pay attention, you wouldn't know the difference. You wouldn't.
Improvement over what you get from the base PS5, even if there are still compromises to be made.
Is this the Pro? Now that looks
Now,
good.
when there's a new powerful console, there's always a racing game to flex
That
the
looks
hardware.
good.
Taking speedy race cars down the track in F124 provides a pretty clear example of what ray tracing can do. When looking at the Pro Enhanced Quality mode and the base PS5's Quality mode, it's easy to pick up on the improvements in reflections
Yeah,
and lighting,
that's clear as
especially
day.
on rain-soaked tracks. And the Pro is able to do this by using PSSR to still target 60 FPS.
Now that's clear as day that I can notice the
Dragon's
difference.
Dogma 2 is an example of where the PS5 Pro can bring a game out of the depths of weak technical performance to a much more playable state. By using PSSR, the Pro is able to put out noticeably higher and more consistent
I don't
frame
know
rates
the-
than
I
the
don't
base
notice the
console
difference.
can, whether you choose to prioritize performance or graphics, which enables ray tracing too. Though it's not without noticeable drops in busy areas. It's a powerful console, but it's not magic. On the other hand, something like Final Fantasy XVI is an example of how a game without pro enhancements, or at least an uncapped frame rate option to just let the extra power work, isn't going to benefit in a tangible way without an update, since it's bound by the limitations that were built for its graphics modes. It's still capped at 30 FPS when prioritizing graphics, while the performance mode still targets 60 FPS with lesser visual quality.
I always thought Final Fantasy was going to get a huge boost on the PS5 Pro. Maybe I'm wrong. They'll put a patch for it though, because Final Fantasy is definitely one of the important games that's needed or whatever to push the purchase of the PS5 Pro. Because we're talking about top 10 important games for the PlayStation franchise, Final Fantasy is up there top 5, not even close. Is it worth it?
Now, that's a lot of technical information, but despite all those enhancements, the question still stands. Is it actually worth buying a PS5 Pro? Frustratingly, the answer is always going to be, it depends on you. As someone who used to be a sucker for upgrading to new generations of high-end graphics cards to push my PC to its limits, the PS5 Pro scratches that old itch because I do notice and appreciate the differences it provides. The visual quality that the Pro enhanced performance modes have thus far look fantastic, and it's all the more enticing because hitting 60 FPS gives a smooth gameplay experience that's tough to come back from. I've also found performance modes on the base PS5 to be lackluster in some cases, and since the Pro has shown the potential in addressing that shortcoming, I find that the new console can be a worthy investment. There are a few games out there now that make the Pro a more enticing prospect.
Oh, for sure,
Final Fantasy 7
100%.
Rebirth's performance mode on base PS5 feels too compromising to me, with in-engine cutscenes and close-ups on characters during pivotal moments looking muddled at 60 FPS. Thus, I bit the bullet and managed with 30 FPS gameplay so that I could get the visual experience that uplifted its storytelling qualities. It worked well enough for that sort of game, but I'd much rather have been playing at 60 FPS. With the Pro Enhancement patch, Rebirth has a new versatility mode that merges both the high-quality graphics settings with 60 FPS performance into a singular mode, so there's no choice paralysis, and it delivers the exact type of experience I wanted. That said, I know and can fully understand people who don't care.
Big difference. Yeah, Final Fantasy is definitely going to get a boost. Yeah, I was wrong earlier. I thought I overheard. I guess I interpreted it wrong though. But yeah, Final Fantasy is definitely going to get a good boost. And like I noticed the differences already, even from the fur on this animal right here. Yeah, like yeah, oh yeah, PS5 Pro. If you're getting it just for the graphics and the graphic update, then it's worth it.
As much about having state-of-the-art systems to play their favorite games, so long as they meet a reasonable balance between performance and fidelity, which the original PS5 only rarely has a problem pulling off with existing games. And for a lot of people, playing at 30 FPS isn't necessarily a deal breaker, and if you're happy with that level of performance, you might as well be happier with a few $100s still in your bank account. And the Pro is a hard sell for anybody who expects a whole new experience when they unbox a brand new console.
That's the only thing. We're gonna talk about that later.
Fundamentally transform how games are played, it just makes them look prettier and run smoother. And if you're happy with how your games look and play on a base PS5, then it's absolutely not worth paying a premium to upgrade.
Got that?
All right, my thoughts. Is the from this review that you watched and that I watched, is the PS5 Pro worth spending the extra $200? It just all depends on your preference. Right now, like at this current state, is it worth me spending extra $200? No, because the PS5 Slim that I have right now works perfectly fine, and I don't mind playing on performance mode. Now, the one thing that would make me jump and spend $700 right now is if, like they just said, like there were features that blew you out the water. Like it was just clear as day. Like these are new features. You need this. Backwards compatibility from PlayStation 5 all the way down to PS1 would have made this an easy sell. The $700 price tag would have been super justifiable. I would have been all in, because now you buy the disc player or whatever the attachment, and now what you're doing, you're going on a treasure hunt on finding different physical games. Like you're going to go find any all PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 1 games. You're going to retro gaming shops. You're going to GameStop and see if they having retro games. You add backwards compatibility completely from all PlayStation games on the PS5 Pro, Easy. That's an easy sell. My rating on the PS5 Pro as far as review wise, I give it a 7. Give it a 7. I can't go to 8 yet because the extra $200 and having to buy extra stuff, whatever with it, the stuff that's supposed to already come with it, is crazy to me. It would have been an easy 8.5 if it would have came with the the Blu-ray disc attachment, but it didn't. You have to pay extra. It's like they're nickel and diming, but it's a business and I understand. But those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about the PS5 Pro. Where's your rating on the PS5 Pro after watching this review? Let me know how y'all feel, and if you've got the PS5 Pro already, tell me how it plays. Let me know how it plays. Was it worth the extra money that you spent pre-ordering it? Just let me know. But you already know it's Dude-Man's Architect Mr. J with another video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comment, share. Until next time, peace. PlayStation 5 Pro. The next leap in console gaming. Enhanced with PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. High frame rates of 60 frames per second to 120 frames per second. Advanced ray tracing. PS5 Pro. Witness play unleashed.